Okay. Oh man, you gotta love technology, boy. I swear, it'll make or break you. What up? What up? What up? Let's do this again. Hey, y'all. Hey, let me see a one in the chat room if you guys can hear me, cause we had some issues. Oh man! All right, starting all over again. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Oh, let me hit this volume real quick. So I take it that you guys can hear me. Is that what I'm getting? Can you guys hear me? Let me know. Let me know something. What's going on, DJ? What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a rainy Monday in Atlanta. Your boy is dragging because I went to Vegas this weekend and woo! Epic weekend, y'all. Epic, epic, epic. You gotta love it. Oh my God, life is good in the words of Future. Life's good. All right, welcome to another Markland Mondays. I am Christopher Markland, author of the books Desperately Seeking Exclusivity. Book number 2 is Desperately Seeking Pleasure, with book number 3, Desperately Seeking Clarity. I'm thinking I'm gonna drop this thing middle of August. I got a few things that I wanted to tweak with it. I'm getting some other stuff ready in the background. Speaking of backgrounds, you see, every time we try to do something, check that. Every time we do something, we make sure that it is better. It is as good as possible. Yeah, stuff's gonna happen. It is what it is. But you know what? Hey, life happens. Just like Stephanie says, she can hear me. Yes, appreciate y'all hearing your boy. All right, so like I said, welcome to another Markland Mondays. Tonight's conversation is going to be about abstinence and celibacy. All right, so as you know, this is going to be an adult conversation. So what that means is we're going to be talking about some adult stuff. So if your ears are all sensitive, or you just don't necessarily want to hear this kind of content, then okay, this might not necessarily be the show for you. We're going to have some, I was going to say we're going to have a few more lighthearted topics, but honestly, nah. This is adult conversations, because guess what? Y'all love is adult relationship stuff. This is what we do. This is the stuff we talk about, and these are the topics. So be sure you like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to get some stuff done in the background, so just bear with me. All right, as I said, we had a few audio problems, but guess what? We got it squared away, so now we are ready to rock. Like I said, tonight's conversation is going to be about abstinence and celibacy. Me personally, I am not a fan of abstinence or celibacy. I don't necessarily agree with it, unless, and I always add this caveat, unless you are it is a religious thing for you. It's part of your belief system, something like that. Then by all means, run it. If that's how you feel, if that's your how you're following your walk with God, Allah, whoever your that divine father is, or mother, whatever your belief system is. If being abstinent, being celibate is a part of that, then so be it. This conversation, however, is for those of us who don't necessarily follow those. All right. Now, what got me to thinking about this, and as you can see, I've started this conversation, but we really didn't get a chance to really dig in and get to the meat of it, was, as you guys know, if you don't, be sure you check my channel. But one of the things I do is the season is now over, but I did a weekly review of the TV show Ready to Love. It came on the OWN network, and that means the Oprah Winfrey network. It came on that network, and what the premise of the show was: 10 women, 10 men, they competing, if you will, against each other in order to, quote unquote, find love. Hence the name of the show, Ready to Love. Now, 2 of those contestants, one of the guys, one of the ladies, they were abstinent and celibate. I can't remember who was what, but all I know is that they basically said, "No, we ain't getting none. We're gonna hold off on that." And then there was another dude, actually, towards the end. He I guess he was celibate. My man was talking about he was doing semen retention. Okay, that kind of threw me off when he said that, but it's along the same lines. In other words, he had, for whatever reason, he felt that he didn't want to go forward with that. Y'all, the reason why I am not a fan of celibacy or abstinence is because, to me, what it really is a lack of discernment and a lack of discipline. And a lot of times we let the body lead. You know what they say in the Bible, the flesh and all that stuff. And instead of you saying, hey, you know what? Until I get to know you, now you ain't getting the cookies. Until I get to know you, now you ain't getting that pressure. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. But instead, what we do is we say all together off the drawing board, nope, I'm not going to do it. For me, it doesn't make any sense. You are in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and God darn, if you're in your 60s and 70s, you better get all you can. Because if the plumbing is still working at that age, man, you better get it in. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if you're in your 30s, your 40s, and let's just do 30s and 40s, right? All right, 50s, whatever. If you know the pleasure of sex, it feels good, all right? It feels good. That's why we do what we do. However, if you're saying that, okay, I'm going to deny myself this because of that to me is just not the way of thinking. That's just my personal opinion. I just don't agree with it. Now, what I do think is that you're like, hey, you know what? This is what I want. I want a deep, meaningful relationship with somebody. But if you just walk in and say, hey, I'm not going to have sex, and then you give it an arbitrary date, 90 days, 30 days, 60 days, whatever the case may be. And, like, for instance, Steve Harvey, I rock with the dude. A lot of people give that dude hell because he was married and he did this and that. But what the guy says, for the most part, makes sense. You may not agree with him, but what he's saying is good, sound advice, except for the 90-day rule, because you're putting an arbitrary date. In my opinion, it's like, all right, I'm going to, instead of 60, let's just do 90. Instead of 90, let's do 120. No, that's too much. Let's just do, no. 3 months? No. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you give that thing up on the first date. I'm not saying you bust it wide open on the second date. I'm not saying that you break her back on the third. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that you put in the time to get to know that person before you delve into the sexual realm. And I think that that's where a lot of people get it twisted. They're like, okay, I'm not going to do it for 30 days. No, good and well that, and I hate to say it, men in our 30s and 40s and 50s, yeah, we want to get it because that's part of the attraction. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, however, that, okay, let me go and give it up because that's going to lock him in. That's part of being an adult, is to be able to discern between whether somebody is going to be a partner that you can build with, or if somebody's just going to be a partner to bust your back, however you want to do it. But at least you get to know that person and then you move forward. DJ in the chat room, he hit the nail on the head. Love Jones. I got to do a review on that movie too, man. That is like one of the top 10. Just, man. Anyway, Love Jones. It's like, you ain't got to save it for later. I want it now. And that is basically what it's all about. What are you saving it for? Ultimately, what are you saving it for? If you cannot answer that question, you're saving it for marriage. Okay, why? Simple question. Why? Why are you saving? What exactly are you saving for marriage? Like I said, I am not by no stretch of the imagination saying that, hey, you know what? We're gonna do it on the first date. I am not saying that. Not saying that at all. What I am saying is there are certain things. Excuse me, y'all. There are certain things that as adults, you already know that this is a part of the thing that I want. And one of the reasons also leads into this as well. And this is where we're going to get a little bit adult. If you can't handle this conversation, this ain't necessarily what you want then. There's certain pleasures, kinks, things that all of us have. All of us, I don't care who you are, we got a kink. I don't care if it's something extreme like, bondage, or something minor like, getting choked, whatever the case may be. There are certain things that we all enjoy. And quite honestly, there are certain things that we all need in order to get pleasure. Now, like I said, everyone has their thing. Everyone has their kink. I don't care who you are. There is something that you like that somebody else can be like, oh, okay, you're a little freaky. But we all have that thing. And to me, one of the reasons why when you abstain or whatever, it makes the conversations that must happen later on, in my opinion, that much more difficult. Now, I'm sure people are going to counter that and say, hey, you know what? Well, if you get to know that person, then you can trust them to do this. No, you're holding off on something that y'all both want to enjoy. No, I just don't think so. I just don't think that's the case. I really and truly think that we all should explore those things that we enjoy. So first of all, before we get into it, let's go ahead and define the terms, right? Abstinence, all right? That's the fact or practice of restraining oneself from indulging in something. Usually, of course, we're dealing with sex. Now, why are you restraining? Well, you are restraining yourself to the point that you're not doing it. It's not a matter of, okay, I'm only abstaining I'll only have sex on Saturday. No, you're saying I'm not going to do it until marriage. I ask again the question, why? I want some of y'all to jump in. If you've ever abstained, if you've ever been celibate, and I want to talk to you. I want to know what was your reason and why did you stop? Or if you're still in that particular vein, why? I really want to know. Okay. Now, being celibate means that you're abstaining from marriage and sexual relations. Now, this is typical for religious reasons, and a person who abstains from marriage and sexual relations. Okay. So those are the definitions of abstinence. My question is why? Okay. I really want to hear what some of you guys have to say on this one, because this is one, to me, like I said, when I watched the show, going back to the Ready to Love thing, right? When I watched it, there was one particular, well, the one guy there, like I said, there were two. One guy said he was being celibate. He just called it semen retention, which, it's kind of funny, but silly. But the other guy, he said that he was celibate for religious reasons. That was his thing. All right. That was introduced to us maybe the first or second episode. However, as the season moved on, what I realized with this particular individual was that he was very, very controlling. He hid behind the cloth. He hid behind the Bible. Now, this is just my opinion. He hid behind all of those things in order to present himself as this man of God who was, just this great spiritual being. But when you dug through all of that BS, what you saw was a man that was very, very, very controlling, to the point that, from what we could gather, because of course with every reality show you see what the cameras want you to see, you see what the producers want you to see. But from what I could gather on this individual, he had been hurt many times in his past. I think he was divorced twice or maybe 3 times. I think the last person cheated on. I'm not quite sure the specifics of what happened with his past relationships, but what I do know was that from watching him, he wanted to control every aspect of his relationships moving forward. Now, there was a point of contention between him and another person where he was like, hey, I want to have access to your social media accounts, I guess, so he could go look in her DMs or see who she's talking to, whatever the case may be. Now, the point of contention is that he was saying that, hey, I was talking about, after marriage, where she was like, nah, I didn't get that vibe. You were talking about it now while we're in the dating process. So part of him wanting control, I think, was also sexual control, because I think for him, and I think that he felt that if they weren't having sex and just working together, then she wouldn't have any reason. I don't know what it is. It didn't make any sense to me, because I'm like, okay, it seems to be religious reasons, but for me, it was more about control. In other words, you're not doing anything, I'm not doing anything. I'm gonna make sure that you're not out there doing it because reasons. That to me was the issue, the entire issue that I had with him. Now, for the lady who was on the show, who was also celibate, one of the things with her, you could tell she was definitely a very spiritual woman. All right. Very spiritual. And you could tell, that she was led by God, and therefore her walk influenced her decisions to be celibate. What then happened, though, was that the guy that she got with, even though he was, about that action boss, he then fell in line because of her. My thing is, how long is that going to last? I know they say love conquers all. I get it. However, we all got needs. And it's one of those things, for me, is it going to be enough? Because I honestly feel that sooner or later, somebody's going to get weak. If not, I don't know. And it doesn't necessarily make sense to me. I mean, like, for instance, that's a great point. That is an excellent point. You know, if you're dating, you shouldn't have sex with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. That's so true. And thank you for saying that. All right. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying having discernment. If you're dating somebody or at least you are actively seeking a long-term relationship, then part of that process is sex. I'm not saying that you, like I said, I'm not saying that you go out there and everybody gets some. I'm not saying that you turned it into a tilt-a-whirl. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, tilt-a-whirl, what do you call the things? Anyway, I'm not saying that. By no stretch of the imagination am I saying, hey, everybody can get it. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is don't take it off the table. And especially for an arbitrary date. Whether until marriage, when is that? 90 days. Why 90 days? What's going to happen in 90 days that may not happen in 60? What's going to happen in 60 that may take 120? You don't know. Why take it off the table? It's arbitrary. So on the 91st day, you're going to go ahead and say, all right, let's do this? No. But at the same time, like I said, I'm not saying on the first date, you got it tooted up. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is do not take sex off the table. Okay, sex is a beautiful thing. Do not take it off the table. I definitely want to take some calls. I'm going to drop the link in here. Just click that link if you want to join, because I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. Also, what I was saying as well, and this is another thing that got me thinking about this as well. I went to Vegas this weekend, and there's a lot of stuff that happens in Vegas, and it needs to stay there. And one of the things that I was thinking about is that when it comes to sex, there are plenty of people who have to go out of bounds, if you will, in order to get certain needs met. And that's what I'm talking about when I say everyone has a kink, everybody has a vice, everybody has that thing that they like. And to me, I think that a lot of times we do not embrace the power of sex. Okay, as I did my reviews, I say women have the power of the wop, men control the walk. Okay, there's a certain power that comes with sex, both on the female, the woman's side, and on the man's side. There's a certain power in that, and I think that a lot of times we run from that power. You know, it's the same. It's the same when it comes to money. There is so much power in money, but for whatever reason, especially in the black community, we treat money as an evil thing. It's like, oh, prosperity preaching, or oh, he just loves some money, or oh, it's all about the almighty dollar. When in reality, when you embrace the power of money, it changes lives. It changes generations. It does so many things. However, just like anything else, be it alcohol, a sip here or whatever, if you're at a party, it makes everybody loosens up. It makes for a good time. Too much of it, you have damaged homes, damaged relationships, all kinds of things because of the ism that is alcoholism, right? It's the same thing with sex. If you enjoy it and embrace the power that is sex, then you understand, the power of the yoni. You understand the power of the twat. And at the same time, you understand the power of that pressure because you know how to do certain things. But if you do not embrace sex and what it can do for you, relationships, etc., then of course it's going to be a bad thing. All right. And, just like Stephanie said, then most people aren't necessarily being sincere about celibacy or whatever anyway. Usually when you hear from me, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all let me know. It's been my experience that whenever I see people or hear about people, well, I'm celibate or I'm doing, I'm abstaining or whatever. It's usually somebody who is not in a relationship and is trying to get some semblance of control and using that as an out. I always hear, let me not use hyperbole. I always, when that happens, I always, hear those people and it's like, yo, okay, what's going on? It's like, are you trying to get into a relationship or are you trying to control it because you've been hurt in the past? It doesn't make sense to me. All right. There's a reason, like Stephanie said, most people can't make it past 30 days. If you go without, you can only go so long without water. You can only go so long without food. You can only go so long without sex. Sorry. Now, some of us do go longer because, we may be going through something. We may, there may be some physical changes that's going through your body. And quite honestly, there may be some relationship issues as well. You may be in a marriage, you may be in a long-term relationship, and there is an issue when it comes to sexual compatibility. And then of course that is completely different than someone who is seeking a relationship and then using abstinence or celibacy in order to basically avoid confronting the sexual aspect of it. Let's see. Going through the comment section, let's see what we got here. All right, on my level 6, if I'm in a relationship with someone, I would not wait to have sex until marriage. I would like to know what I'm getting into before marriage. All right, y'all let me know in the comment section if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody, or not even a relationship. Y'all were talking or whatever, and then the first time you got it, you said to yourself, shit, I could have had a V8. Drop a 1 in the comment section. Let me know if that's happened to you. I'll be the first to admit, it's like, are you freaking kidding me? And ladies, obviously it's different for y'all than it is for us dudes, but it's like, man, there's just been some partners of mine that I'm like, whew. In fact, I'm going to do a topic on sexual pet peeves. Let me make a note of that. Oh, okay, Michelle Roberts, she done put algebra up in there. She got about 31s. It's been that bad? Oh my God. I want to hear from some of y'all, man. Hey, I just dropped the link. If you're interested in coming and joining the conversation, just hit the link. Like it says there, hey, please make sure you got your camera and your microphone attached. Miss Chanel says she agrees. I'm trying to tell y'all. I am trying to tell y'all. We hide behind sex just like some people. I'm gonna be real with it. Just like people who are financially challenged hide behind hatred of money. I think that, in fact, hold on one second, y'all. Gonna deny me sex? No. Let me have it. Sorry, y'all, I had to get up. What I was saying, excuse me. What I was saying was that analogizing the power of sex to the power of money. There are plenty of people who have been hurt. There are plenty of people who have went through a lot when it comes to love, relationships, being in love. And of course, part of being in a relationship and being in love is, hate to say it, is being hurt. You know, we don't live in a society now where we necessarily fall in love with our high school sweethearts and, you know, the captain of the football team runs away with the cheerleading captain. It ain't necessarily that type of society anymore. And if you don't find that love, that real long-term love in high school or college, then it becomes difficult. It becomes very difficult because the older you get, the more jaded you get, the more stuff you've been through, and therefore it's harder for you to get past people's representatives to get past people's bullshit in order to really get to know that real person. And I mean, just like with, social media, Facebook specifically, you can have 3, 4, 5, 6 different profiles, right? As long as you got a different email address, you can create a whole new account and be this person on one, this my family page, this my lifestyle page. Y'all know what I'm talking about, all of those things, right? So sometimes it is hard to be like, hey, who is that real person? And as you get older, the one thing that you then want to have is control. Because if not, you end up getting hurt, which is kind of like what we saw happen on the show Ready to Love as it went on. I honestly think he wanted to have control of his relationships because he'd been hurt so many times in the past. That's why I always stress to y'all the importance of therapy. The same thing goes with money. When it's been difficult growing up, when it's been difficult or whatever the case may be, when you finally get a couple dollars in your pocket, that's why you see people who go live every time they go to a restaurant. Look, I got French fries. Oh my God, fancy catsup, all of those things, because when you don't have it, when you do get a little taste of it, that's when you just, it's blowing your damn mind. And on the flip side, when it comes to sex, I think a lot of people, or many people, have been touched in the past the right way, and it blew their mind. So now they're like, all right, I don't want to get, digmatized, or I don't want to fall in love with it. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things. So then what they try to do is they try to make sure they have control over it. All right. And at the same time, just like Stephanie said here, sometimes people say they want to be celibate. What they're hiding from some type of sexual dysfunction. That right there. That right there. And the funny thing is, what some people would consider to be a sexual, quote unquote, dysfunction is actually just a kink. It's something that they like. It's something that turns them on. And I am of that opinion that 2 adults, let me be clear, 2 or more adults, engaging in an activity that gives them pleasure, and there has been full disclosure, full conversations, and full understanding, ain't a damn thing wrong with that. I don't care if you are engaged in a polygamous or polyamory type situation, if you're into threesomes, foursomes, group, whatever the case may be. If that's your kink and you and your partner enjoy it together, man, run that shit. That's how I feel about it. But a lot of times, because people don't necessarily have the conversations about sex, they don't have the conversations about what it is they really enjoy, then they're going to have issues. And I hate to say it, but in the Black community, we have so many stigmas when it comes to sex. And anything that we consider out of the norm, if you will, oh my God, shit. Ooh, God help us. And especially when it comes to Black men, because what's the guy who ran for governor down in Florida? What's his name? He ended up getting caught up in the scandal where he ended up coming out as bisexual, right? What is his name? Black guy. Oh my God! Come on, Google. Andrew Gillum. That gentleman, it's one of those things where he had a certain part of his life but he couldn't come out. Literally, he couldn't come clean with it. So it took him basically ending up on the floor, and the people that he was engaged with, whatever whatever he was doing, they basically took pictures and basically outed the dude because he did not feel comfortable enough to talk about the things that he enjoyed, the things that gave him pleasure. So now not only did this dude have a wife and kids, but he also had a political career that was on the ascension that's basically torpedoed because of that. Why? Because people don't talk openly about sex and the things that they enjoy. Andrew Gillum, thank you. Yeah, that's that guy right there. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, there's so many different things that people enjoy. Some of them like, hey, to each his own. But once you're able to talk about those things, and we as a community can talk about certain things, that's when you'll see less of the celibacy and less all that. And it's more like, hey, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to get to know you before we do this. Simple as that. Ha! Yo, I'm going to talk about this one in a second. Hold on. On the radio love, Vernisha didn't use... Now on the show, let's dig into this one a little bit, Stephanie. One of the characters, I'm not gonna say names, but one of the characters on the show, her and one of the guys, they instantly connected. Damn near from the first time they met, they had a connection, or so it seemed on the show. And I honestly think that a lot of women think that the WAP is going to change how men view women or what a man is looking for. It's not. Because last time I checked, pretty much 99% of women have the same equipment for the most part. It takes more than that. A lot more than, what you can do. Don't get me wrong. If you got skills of superhead and you used to be a gymnast back in the day and, that's great. That's great. That is absolutely great, because that goes back to on my level 6's point where some men think about going all night. Yeah, okay. You can have fun. It may even last all night. 2 rounds even. Shit. 3 rounds. God, man, for shit. Okay. But not necessarily is what it's all about. Just because, you as a woman, you think that your thing, if you take it off and throw it in the air and turn to sunshine, so what? So what? And the same thing with a lot of dudes, lying on the dick. You know how it is. Yeah, I can go all night. I can do this. No, that's not the case. But at the same time, you being celibate, you being abstinent, because you know that, okay, my game is trash or whatever, so I'm going to hold off on it and think that they're going to fall in love with me. No, not the case at all. I agree with Michelle on this one. I don't trust nobody that says they're celibate. Never have, never will. When I was dating before I got married, I think I ran into, as I was one woman, I think I swiped right. She was cute, but she was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So yeah, no, thank you. Because quite honestly, at the time I was in my 30s. No, thank you. What are we waiting on? No. What are you trying to hide? That's basically what I was thinking. What are you trying to hide? Let's go back through some of these comments. The power of discernment when it comes to sex and you engaging in sexual activity is what it's all about. And I really think that that's where a lot of us is, and it makes no sense to me as we get older. It's like we lose the power of discernment. I'm not sure if it's because we think, I'm not sure if it's because we think that, okay, we're running out of time. So, I don't know what it is. Maybe as people get older, they then become more spiritual, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know what the case may be. I agree, Shell. It does work for Christians. It does. And that's one of the things that I preface this conversation with. If you are driven by your walk with your spiritual father or mother or deity of your choice, if that's how you're led, like you said here, be it Christians, or if you're a Muslim, if you're, Buddhist, if you're, whatever religion you may follow, if that's part of your walk, then so be it. That's such a personal thing. I don't mess with that. I really don't. However, if you are not, then them arbitrary 90-day rules, 120 rules, the third date, no. And like on my level 6, and just because you have sex with somebody, you're not in a relationship. You're damn right. We used to have a term for that, booty calls, right? I'm just saying, I think that now some people think that, okay, well, because we did it, that means we go together. No. Now, That does bring me to another point, though, and I definitely want to go into this one a little bit. A lot of people are really scared, I think, to get into relationships. A lot of people, I think, are just scared to get into relationships. Real, serious, deep, heartfelt, vulnerable relationships because of past trauma. And that's why for me, I will speak for myself, and that's why I always scream it from the mountaintops, y'all. Therapy works. In fact, I need to schedule another session, but therapy works. Because if you do not fix the past traumas from past relationships, and I'm not just talking about intimate relationships being girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. I'm talking about going all the way back to your childhood. Because there have been some demons in our relationships that have damaged a lot of us. Molestation, all of those things happen. And if something happened to you as a child, that goes back to the comment that Stephanie made earlier about sexual dysfunction. If you do not flush the emotional toilet of all of the shit that you've been carrying in the past, and I hate to be so graphic with it, but that's really what it is. You are walking around with all of that inside, and you cannot move forward until you cleanse yourself. And the only way to do that is to go to therapy and put in the work. I'm not saying stay in therapy for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, but go to therapy and work that out. Literally work that shit out. I don't have a certain time, but I do just wait until it feels like it's right for me. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. That right there, that Shell just said, is exactly what it's about. You don't necessarily have to have a time, but you're not going into a new relationship saying, all right, I'm celibate. You're not going in, I'm abstaining. You're not going in, it's going to be 3 days or 90 days or 120, or we ain't going to do it till we get married. No. You're going in to when it feels right. And then, of course, you take the proper protection, the proper precautions, and you do what adults do. That is what it's about. That is an adult. Oh my God. That is it right there in a nutshell. That is it right there. I don't have a certain time, but when it feels right, that's when I'm going to do it. And if your partner knows and understands that, I love it. Let's see what we got. Whoa, hey, wait a minute. If a man buys you dinner, doesn't mean we're having sex. Oh, wait a minute, ma'am. Ma'am, I done worked all 10 hours to be able to supersize this meal, and you saying I ain't getting none? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. If you getting large fries and a large drink, oh, ma'am, something's going down. I'm sorry. No, ma'am. I done took you to this fancy deal where 2 for $20. Nope. Sorry. Nope. Got to do it. And God forbid, shit, we decide to get fancy and go to Chili's? Man, please. If I buy you dinner, something's going down. I don't care if you practice a shake weight. We're going to be doing something. Fear is driving a lot of these. Yes. Stephanie, that's a great comment. Fear is driving a lot of these decisions to abstain. I think so. I think people are so afraid of getting into relationships. And I honestly think that love and relationships, as it were, and romance as a whole is dying. And it's on CPR right now. And we're going to talk about that in the next couple of weeks. We're going to talk about the CPR needed to get romance back. Not necessarily love relationships, but the romance side of things, where a guy plans what he's going to do for his woman, where a woman plans what she's going to do for her dude. We're going to get into that. Shoot, y'all laughing? I'm dead serious. Do you know how much McDonald's costs? Why do you think that your mama used to say, you got McDonald's money? Because your mama knew Some of y'all probably came here because of McDonald's, and she knows. I'm saying, supersize? Shit. I don't think you understand. Y'all laughing. I used to work at McDonald's too. Shoot. You know the hard work that, man, please. Sorry. Get me fired up. Talking about if I take you out to dinner, we're not having sex. Question. All right. Let's have a little fun. All right. Yeah, I want y'all to reveal this. What is how can I ask this question? What is the least amount of work that a man has put in your adult life to where you were a man or a woman, because I'm going to put my thing in there in a second, to where you were like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to give him some. Or yeah, I'm about to get, whatever. This is for my ladies though, right? Where it's like, ooh, his cologne, he smelled good. I'm going to give him some. Where you like, damn. And when you stop and look at it, it's like, damn, he ain't put in no kind of work. What is it? Whether it's he just smiled at me the right way. What is it where you like, you know what? Yeah, I'm about to give him some. Next thing you know, you on your back looking at the ceiling wondering, how the hell did I get here? Because this dude supersized his meal. I want to know. For me, boy, shit, I was hell. Man, I came up during Freaknik, so it was a whole different ball game. Shoot, I was driving a beer truck. I just hollered at her. Next thing I know, we doing the beast with two backs. Yeah, I think that was it. I think she just smiled at me. I was like, oh. But then again, I'm a dude. We look at it differently. Anyway, this conversation's going off the rails, y'all. I'm going to hang out to see if anybody's going to respond to that one. I think y'all going to be a little bit shy. Oh, man. Y'all, it has been an interesting night for sure. I appreciate y'all sticking with me. I know we had a few issues getting the audio right, but here we are. I'm sorry I'm laughing. I'm thinking about that night. If you're from Atlanta, specifically Decatur, do you remember a club called The Gate? All right. There's a club called The Gate. Shell, you know damn well that you don't talking about you can't remember. Oh, you remember. Anyway, there was a club called The Gate, right? And if you grew up in Decatur, especially off of Glenwood Road, Rainbow, Western Chapel, all of that, right? The Gate was that spot. And I'm just talking off a tangent. Just bear with me. Anyway, so me and my homeboy and his lady at the time, whatever, we went to The Gate. And if you guys remember having a pager, so your boy had that Motorola on his hip, right? And we at the club doing our thing, right? Getting it. All of a sudden I was like, oh, it's the same chick that I met earlier in the day. So I left the club. She was like, hey, what's happening? Of course, your boy left. We spoke in tongues for a minute, did the thing that we got to know each other on a biblical level. And I went back to the club. That, and all because she smiled at me. Ladies, I'm trying to tell y'all, if a man offers to supersize your meal, if a man says, you know what? Yeah, you can have dessert. Ladies, you got to put out. Those are the rules. You don't put out, something's wrong with you. Some women, all y'all women know if you want to sleep with a dude the first time you meet him. I don't care. Correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all women, there are a couple things that the woman's intuition, it's real. And I say this all the time. Us dudes talk ourselves out of the twat more often than we realize. Because 9 times it always starts like this. The cup is full. I don't know about a man that gets to know a woman into having sex. No, I think it's the other way around. Y'all women know it's like, you know what? He could get it. And then as you get to know him, it's like, yeah, he ain't getting shit. That's, I think, how it works. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's how it works. Y'all know for the first time you see, it's like, yeah, he can get it. Maybe even twice. What you mean go to hell? I'm just saying. Am I wrong? Y'all know the first time you see a dude, we just all off the topic tonight. I'm sorry. We can talk about abstinence and celibacy, but we just gonna talk a little bit. Ladies, y'all know. Fellas, let me talk to my fellas. Fellas, come here. Bring it in. It's just us, fellas. They can't hear us. Dudes, the minute that they see us, they decide whether or not they gonna give us the draws, as Tommy said on Martin. That's when they know he can get the draws. I'm telling you. Between us fellas, they know. Now, what happens, and quite honestly, they would be willing to do some stuff. Most women, some if not all women, would be willing to do some stuff. However, the more we talk, the more they realize, he's not worthy of that. And if a man thinks dinner equals sex, try the mortgage. Dinner equals sex. I don't know much more I can say it. Dinner equals putting out. I'm just saying. The fancier the meal, the more to put out. I don't. Why are we even having this argument? Ladies, it is what it is. If I take you to dinner, we're going to have sex. We are going to have sex. Now, depending on the restaurant that I take you to, that's going to equate to how vigorous the sexual activity is going to be. But sooner or later, we're going to do it. Anyway, I cannot believe we're even having this conversation. I am so disappointed in y'all. Ladies, I dare let y'all supersize you talking about we can't have sex. I am so hurt. Thought we were better than this. Ladies, Anyway, y'all, it's been a great, fun evening. I know we're just being silly as hell right now. I really, really, really enjoy y'all once again for joining the conversation. Thank you so much for joining another Markland Monday. Tonight, like I said, we talked about abstinence and celibacy. Seems like for the most part, everybody we're all on the same page. For whatever the reasons may be, most people who are not on a spiritual path, meaning they're not, their walk is not dictated by the God that they serve and the God that they're following, and the religious texts that say specifically to abstain, to be celibate, then that's different. For the most part, Just reading these comments. Secondly, we don't always know the first. Yes, y'all do. I'm sorry. Yes, y'all do. Let me pause my wrap up. Yes, y'all do know the first time. When you meet a dude, you know the first time, because y'all women be doing stuff that us men would never do. Y'all be looking at our bodies and judging us and trying to figure out certain things, while us men are trying to be like, you know what? I bet she has a great personality. It's like, I bet she has a wonderful sense of humor. That's what us dudes do. Y'all women, on the other hand, though, y'all be like, y'all nasty. I'm here for it, but still, y'all nasty. So y'all know whether you're going to give it up or not. Cannot believe this. Y'all ladies. Anyway, thank y'all. Enjoyed it. Next week's conversation. What are we going to be talking about next week? Next week, let me check out a few things. Next week's conversation, we're going to have a picnic. Next week's conversation is If a man wants a woman to be a hoe, then it would be a high class hoe. I'm fine with that. Why would you want a low class hoe? No, if you're gonna be a hoe, you better be. I mean, come on. They taught us that in Sesame Street. Be the best at everything you possibly can. If you're gonna be a hoe, well, damn it, you need to be the best hoe possibly. I hopefully think you will do the best hoeing possible. There you go. Miss Shadell, yeah. Or is it Shadell? Shadell, yeah. You knew when a guy could not get it, and you knew when he was. And 9 times out of 10, it started with him getting it, and his ass talked his way out of it. I'm sorry. No. It could be Idris Elba or the same British dude that goes, brat, stop. You knew the minute he said brat, you're like, yeah, he could get it. You knew. Y'all women knew. Come on. If you're going to be a hoe, be a high-class hoe, and y'all women know good and damn well that you know what? He can get it. Anyway, y'all have a great night. Man, I'm going to rest up because, like I said, your boy's in Vegas this weekend, and yeah, I'm still trying to recover. I'm still trying to hydrate because Lord knows between the desert sun and liquor, shit. Anyway, y'all have a great, great, great week. Thank you so much for joining me. Which one? I said it twice. Shadell or Shadell? One or two? Shadell. And by the way, if the Hunchback of Notre Dame was hung like a horse and you could see the print through his pants, yeah, he could get it. I'm sorry. Ladies, he could be ugly in the face, but if he's wearing them gray jogging pants that y'all like, you're going to be like, maybe I just put a hunchback over him, or maybe this is what y'all would do. You cut the lights off and go ahead and do it with the Hunchback of Notre Dame because you see what he's working with. So you figure you give him a shot. I don't care. Come on. Ladies, I'm just saying, why are we arguing this point? Y'all know. Dell, got you. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you next week, Miss Chanel. I'm just saying, we are having this conversation. You know what? Next week, we're going to be talking about the picnic. Stay tuned. All right. Make sure you tune in next week. Hey, thank y'all so much. I enjoyed this conversation. Y'all are silly as hell. Cannot believe that you women dared to say that you would not give it up over dinner and that you were saying that you don't know that. Come on. I hate having to mansplain to y'all women what it is. It's like, oh, y'all should know better. Hey, y'all have a great one, y'all. See y'all next week. Stay determined. Cannot believe this. How dare y'all? I'm so disappointed. So disappointed in y'all. Ugh.